Just like before, I would like to apologize in advance for the many noises around my neighborhood. Thank you very much for your understanding and patience. Is it time? Hello weekend warriors, thank you for hanging out with me today. Before we begin, go ahead and grab a comforting drink and slap that moisturizing mask on. Let's go! So today we will talk about something I've heard plenty of over the past couple of years. I don't know about you, but I have attended a great number of online lectures and meetings over the past few years because, we had to work remotely. In these meetings, I noticed that lecturers and meeting participants seem to pronounce some words quite differently. These words in question are those that contain the letter X. By the end of this video, you will have learned a few new ways to pronounce this letter, and you'll have that supple, radiant skin only the weekend can give you. We were taught in school that the sound this letter makes is the sound that the letters K and S make when combined together. X, X. Now let's see when we can use the K plus S or X sound. There are actually 3 different situations when we can use the X sound. The first one is when the letter X is followed by a consonant letter. Say the words after me. Don't forget to mind the shape of your mouth when you make the vowel sounds. We talked about how you can make the proper English vowel sounds in the previous video, which I have linked in the descriptions and at the end of this video. So if you haven't yet, please watch that one too. Now let's take a look at some examples. Repeat after me. Excuse, excuse. Expect, expect. Exposed, exposed. Toxic, toxic. Text, text. Explain, explain. Dextrose, dextrose. Now the second situation is when the word ends with the letter X, like hoax, hoax. Anthrax, anthrax. Spandex, spandex. 6, 6. Relax, relax. Unorthodox, unorthodox. Apex, apex. Crux, crux. Complex or complex, complex or complex. By the way, these words are called homographs, or words that are spelled the same way but have different meanings. In this case, the stress is not the same either, which means they are pronounced differently. Complex, the stress is on the first syllable, while with complex, the stress is on the second syllable. And the third situation is when the letter X is followed by a vowel letter but is not in the stressed syllable. Let's look at some examples. Buxom, buxom. Axis, axis. Alexa, alexa. Foxy, foxy. Boxes, boxes. Affixes or affixes, affixes or affixes. This is another example of homographs. Sounds easy enough, right? X, x. But hang on, it gets a bit tricky from here. Some of us learned that the letter X also makes the letters G and Z sounds put together, or the X, X sound. However, I recently found out that this was often misused, particularly by Filipinos. Now let's see how we can properly use the sound. How can we tell if it's time to use the z sound or not? Well, there are two things we need to consider when using this sound on the letter X. First, when the stressed syllable comes right after the letter X and is followed by a vowel sound. Let's use this sound in some words. Example, example, example. Exemplify, exemplify, exemplify. Exhilarate, exhilarate, exhilarate. Exaggerate, exaggerate, exaggerate. Exhausted, exhausted, exhausted. Exactly, exactly, exactly. Auxiliary, auxiliary, auxiliary. Exam, exam, exam. Exist, exist, exist. Anxiety, anxiety, anxiety. Alexander, Alexander, Alexander. Do you see now why knowing the proper stress or emphasis on a certain syllable is quite important in the English language? Correct stress and intonation are key to speaking English fluently with good pronunciation. The second thing we need to remember is that there are exceptions to these rules sometimes. No matter where the stress is, these following X words will always take the X sound. Exit, exit. Exile, exile. Existential, existential. Examination, examination. There are very few words in English that fall under this third category, so just remember them when you use them. Next, we have the ksh and ksh sounds. The ksh sound is a combination of the k and sh sounds put together, while the ksh sound consists of the k and zh sounds. The zh sound here is similar to the sound we make when we say the name Jaja. Zh, zh, not sh. It's zh. Now let's take a look at some words that have these sounds. Luxury, luxury, or luxury, luxury. Complexion, complexion. Anxious, anxious. Transfixion, transfixion. When we began learning the alphabet sounds in preschool, we often saw this example for the letter X. There are also a few other words that make the Z sounds when reading the letter X, like xylophone, xylophone. Xenophobia, xenophobia. Xavier, xavier. Xenops, xenops. Astaxanthin, astaxanthin. Now let's not forget that the letter X also makes the phonetic sound X, like in the words X-ray, X-ray. Professor Xavier, Professor Xavier of the X-Men. Although this name is more commonly pronounced with a Z sound, as in Xavier. Now what about those words that have the letters X and C back to back? There are actually two sounds for this consonant blend, the X and Xk sounds. Let's talk about the first one first. Only one rule applies when the letter C on this XC combination has the S sound. So here, the letter C has the S sound. You will always pronounce this letter combination with the X sound. X. Isn't that easy? Let's take a look at some examples. Excellent, excellent, excerpt, excerpt, excise, excise, exception, exception, exceed, exceed, exciting, exciting, accept, accept, excel, excel. So when we say parating na tayo sa exciting part, this word should never be pronounced with a G plus Z or Gz sound. Only the K plus S or X sound. Okay? For the X sound, it's pretty much straightforward. Unlike in the previous rule, this is when the letter C that follows the X has the K sound. So the letter C here has the K sound. Let's read the words together. Excuse, excuse, exclaim, exclaim, exclusive, exclusive. So what do you think? Is this something you already know? Or have you heard someone make the X sound differently? I'd like to hear about your experiences in the pronunciation of the letter X in the comments down below. This is all for now. Please don't forget to click on all those happy buttons down there, especially the subscribe and notification bell, so you'd know when the next video drops. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Always be kind to others and rest well. See you on the next one. Check you later. Bye. Bye.